So you write in English, right?
Yeah, I write in English. I can also write fluent Filipino.
As every student should be. And actually, you should be doing that for a third language.
Yeah.
So that's the opening line for why you need a foreign language aside from English and Filipino.
Yeah, but like, what is like your stand regarding integrating these foreign language classes into basic education?
Yeah. Well, I'll first give you data and I'll pass this on to you. For example, our most developed is really Spanish. Right? And we have around 77 schools nationwide. These are all in high school.
High school.
77 schools nationwide. And we have around 166 teachers who are trained. They're already with them, but they're trained to teach Spanish. Our program is really, they have an initial program locally, and then at a certain stage, we have this arrangement with the Spanish embassy. They have a scholarship to go to Madrid, and they take up further classes there and interaction, and then they take an assessment test. So, in Spanish they have this A1, A2, B2 or something, that's the different language fluency. So, at least for Spanish, that is very well developed. It's been there since, I think, 2004. Not very difficult to do, because as you know, Spanish was part of the curriculum before, but in college, not in high school. Yeah. But this time we're doing it in high school. And personally, I visited some of those programs unannounced, and I was very, very pleased with what I saw. Because my college, and maybe your dad's too, Spanish, because it was imposed on us, I was really reacting to it. We didn't have very good teachers. We did most of the memorization, and we never imagined or understood why we were forced to learn Spanish. When that's the perspective, then it's very, very different. I go to this one little Marinduque school, in this island. I go unannounced to one class, and I see this Spanish teacher, Filipino, was teaching Spanish. She would not use any words or instructions except all in Spanish.
So she only spoke.
Only in Spanish. And the students will respond to her only in Spanish. And I can't believe what I was doing. I said, how is this possible? And worse, and better, the students were actually enjoying her class. Having had the Spanish imposed on us in college, I cannot imagine Filipino students in high school enjoying a Spanish class. So, things have changed. The way Spanish is taught is in a fun way. And I became convinced after visiting some of those Spanish classes that it is a wonderful opportunity for Filipino students to learn that. I'll pass on to you. These are our actual list of Spanish.
Spanish teaching school.
Teaching in high school, essentially in high school. But just to mention, before you go to other questions, there are 4 other languages that we currently teach in DepEd. Aside from Spanish, which was started in 2000, that's the date pala, 2009. So it's at least 5 years now. We teach Japanese, and there are around 21 schools where we teach Japanese, and we have 41 teachers. Yeah. French, it was also started in 2009. We have 13 schools where French is taught in high school, with around 27 trained teachers. And then in 2010, we taught German in 9 schools currently, and around 29 trained teachers in German. And then the most recent is Mandarin. We have 30 schools, Chinese. That's the official Chinese. 30, and around 60 trained teachers. So, just to give you the national landscape, and this is only in public schools. I don't have the figures for private schools. I don't think many private schools, except for the Chinese schools, teach foreign languages. Xavier Mandarin. Yeah. So, nationwide, there are 135 high schools out of 7,600. So that's a very small number. So just 135, and we have around 295 teachers trained for one of the five major five languages taught in deaf-end schools. So that's the kind of I'm very happy with the program.
Yeah, but like, how do you think this would like help the Philippines grow?
You'd have to understand that in the new K-12 curriculum, our basic principle is a mother tongue based multilingual education. So we start off with the language that the learners, and this one it starts with kinder, are comfortable with. Their first language, whatever it is the language that we communicate with them when we welcome them into school. That's from kinder to grade 3. So the major concepts are taught in those. There are 177 Philippine languages. We chose 19 because those are the major ones. And currently in the new program, kinder up to grade 3 students are initiated into concepts in one of the 19, Bicolano, Tagalog, Maguindanaoan, Tausug, Chabacano, Bicolano. Okay, so we identify 19. But take note, we're talking of how they are initiated into the school. And then as early as grade 1, then we have a separate subject for Filipino. And by the second semester of grade 1, they have a separate subject for English. So from kinder to grade 3, in those 4 grade levels, all the major concepts are taught in the language that they are comfortable with,
The one they grew up with.
they will grow up with, but they are taught to speak and read in 2 other languages, Filipino, and the other one is English. So actually every Filipino would have those 3 as you grow up. But that's at the beginning. At the tail end is where we actually, in high school, that's where we introduce foreign language. So actually, if you are speaking a language other than Tagalog, because Tagalog is very close to Filipino anyway. So, but let's say you're Bicolano. So the major concepts are taught in Bicolano. You learn English and Filipino, and then by grade 4, half of the subjects are taught in Filipino, and the other half are taught in English. By the time if you graduate in grade 6, elementary, you would have mastered 3 languages, and chances are you should be, well, for English and Filipino, you're graded with that, so you should be very, very fluent in that, as you are, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I don't really see any reason why all the studies show that if you know the basic concepts and you learn a language, another language other than your own, it is so easy, without any problem, you will learn a 4th language or a 3rd language. And so if you're worried about will this cramp the curriculum, I don't think so. I think teaching them how to think, read, write in English and Filipino, aside from their first language, already teaches them and gives them the facility to shift to another 4th, 5th, 6th language
So it
without
will be,
any difficulty.
it will be easy for them.
it should be very easy because the main problem in the past was the code switching. You know what code switching is? The teacher teaches in English and then translates that in the same sentence or in the same way to Filipino. So you have this judgment language where I cannot ride the bus kasi it's madumi or something like that. Diba? So that's what we're trying to avoid. It wouldn't be that difficult. The only problem we have now, and that's why we're not expanding the list of schools to all the high schools, is really we don't have the teachers yet. So we have to wait for the time when we could train teachers for a language that's not one of the three.
So I've researched that once you learn a language, you learn like the culture behind it. So like, how does the Filipino student start viewing his own culture after learning another language and the culture of that language he has learned about?
Well, that is very true. Language is just, I call it a bridge, but language actually allows you to understand a lifestyle, a culture, a tradition different from one's own. And that's why learning a language really, it's not just about speaking. It's opening your world to something which, another reality, that may be very different from what you know. So, you will never enjoy or understand Spanish until you begin tasting Spanish cuisine or trying out a Spanish dance or a Spanish song or a Spanish pub, you know. Because language is actually just an expression that talks about the inner experience of a person. So, and that's precisely why people who have become fluent in another language is really a person who has opened up his doors to another culture. And you become a Renaissance man after you learn another language. Unless the language that they teach you, like I was taught in college, is rote memory. So you say it without feeling. Wala yun, di ba? But if you're really able to speak the language fluently, that only happens when you're able to get out of your former self, you know, so to speak, and enter another world. And you have to be adventurous if you want to learn another language. Now, that's important for students. If you ask me, it's not just another language that they learn. It's the whole process of opening up your mind and your heart to a world different from your own.
So it's like exploring another culture,
another land, so everything from food, celebrations, culture, lifestyle. You'd have to be willing to enter into that.
So to be able to fluently learn a language and enjoy it, you need to learn the culture behind it. Why is it said like that? Why does this word mean this, that?
You have to understand how persons in that culture think, right? So, for example, an American cannot just learn Filipino without understanding how Filipinos relate with their family members, right? I mean, an American will never be able to speak Filipino unless he's able to see that we are respectful of our elders. How do you teach po and opo to an American that's something so different from his language, right? Why do you call an elder brother kuya and an elder sister ate, and anyone else you meet who looks older than you, kuya, ate? American will never understand that. He is to see that Filipinos are very relational. We look at and express that in extended families. And even a guard who is kind to me, I call Kuya, not because he's related, but because he is like another older brother to me. So that's just an example of why it is important. It's not about just the word. It's you have to enter into the world of the Filipino for any foreigner to understand a simple word as po and poco. So it's like French, bonjour, for example, good morning. It looks like in the Philippines, we don't really greet each other good morning. That only happened because we translated bonjour or buenos dias literally into Filipino. Pag umikot ka sa Pilipinas, ano makikita mo? Pag magkita tayo, I do not say, magandang hapon. Ano yun eh? Sa libro lang yun eh. Sa Pilipino, pag nakita tayo sa kalye, sa mall, o saan ka pupunta? That's very cultural. Kumusta? Ano? I'll give you these are the numbers. Okay, and we actually have partner institutions for each of the five. So these are the total number of students that have been going through the program. So the biggest number is actually for Spanish. Since 2009, we have more or less 4,400 students have finished Spanish. And then the next would be in Mandarin. This is one of the more recent, but there are a lot of, actually it is easy to teach, but there are a lot of trained Mandarin teachers, and our culture is very Chinese, so they like to take this because they think they can be good in business. That's another practical consideration for language. They think, sometimes I ask, oh, you're Filipino naman ah. Why are you interested in learning Mandarin? And the high school student says, kasi po, gusto kong maging businessman. Pag marunong ka makipag-usap ng Chinese sa isang Chinese man, they will bring the price down. So I think that's very, very practical.
Sabi nga po, pag marunong ka mag-Chinese, hindi ka i-visit.
Oo, iba yung trato sa'yo, di ba? Hindi ka pwedeng ibenta. They'll give you, punta ka sa Divisoria, you ask how much an item is in English, tataasan nila yun. You ask in Filipino, baka ng konti. You ask in Mandarin, ibibigyan na sa'yo libre yun. I'll give you also other, this is for example, our program in foreign language. It gives you an idea of the background, including costing. And this is how much it costs. Just sending them for teachers. So it's a little expensive, but I think we have to invest on that. And then this is our overall vision and objectives for that special program in foreign language. And these are our master plan. You may want to look over this and report to your teacher. In Ateneo, what languages do you study?
English and Filipino only. But there are elective classes for there's Japanese, French, Chinese. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How soon do you start elective courses? Is there a grade 7?
No, grade 9. once you
Grade
enter grade 9, you can